My name is Jenny Miller, and I am a U.S. missionary. I resource and equip churches to care for foster and adoptive families in their community. Many churches want to know how they can help our foster and adoptive communities, but they just don't know how to get started. I'd like to give you some different ways to do that. Before I begin, though, I'd like to tell you the story of a young man named Michael. Before Michael was even born, his mom was only 19 years old when she fell in love. She fell in love with the wrong type of man. Their relationship was very rocky, and when she first found out she was pregnant with Michael, she was very afraid to tell her boyfriend. But when she told him, he was actually very happy, and they were very excited about their upcoming baby. But after Michael was born, that happiness kind of began to wear off as they were having to get up in the middle of the night to take care of him, to feed him. As the bills started piling up, having to buy diapers and formula and take care of him. And soon Michael's dad wasn't as happy anymore. So his mom thought that whenever she found out that she was pregnant with Michael, it made him very happy. So maybe if she had another baby, that would also make him happy again. But this time, Michael's dad was not very pleased when he found out that his girlfriend was pregnant. As a matter of fact, not only was he not happy, but he abandoned Michael's mother, and the new baby before the baby was even born. So Michael's mom found herself as a young a single mom, having to take care of two young children by herself. She had no support system, and she had no way to care for her kids. By the time Michael was about 7 years old and he was in school, his teacher began to notice, he was in the first grade, she began to notice that Michael didn't come to school every single day. He was missing a lot. When he was at school, he was usually tired. On the days that he was there, he was typically wearing the same outfit over and over, and it was very clearly dirty. So they made a phone call and they asked somebody to go do a wellness check on them, to go check on the family, see what the home life was like. When they got there, they found that the home was very unkept. It was very dirty. There wasn't a lot of food in the refrigerator or in the cabinets for them to eat. Michael was doing the majority of the cleaning and the housework, taking care of his baby sister. And so most of the things that was there was just simple things that he could cook. He was only 7 and he didn't know how to properly take care of his house. So the state got involved and they began to tell mom that if you do not get certain things together and in order, the state is going to have to step in and they're going to have to take custody of Michael and the baby sister. So even though the mom absolutely loved Michael and loved his baby sister, she felt very overwhelmed. All these people were coming in and out of her house, all of these different caseworkers, everybody that came in. She didn't fully understand everything that they were talking about. And she felt that overall, everybody was just saying that she was a bad mom and that she didn't need these children. She was going through depression. Again, she had no support system and she just gave up. She said she believed the lies that she wasn't a good enough mom, and so she just gave her kids up to be into foster care. After they went into foster care, there was not a home that had enough room to take Michael and his baby sister together, so they had to be separated. Baby sister was eventually adopted by a nice couple that took very good care of her, but Michael began to be labeled as a bad child. Not that he was a bad child, but he was hurt and he was confused and he was mad and angry and he felt like he had no control over his life and he didn't know how to process those feelings. So he bounced around from foster home to foster home until he was about 14 and he finally landed in a group home for young boys. And he actually did pretty well there. He fell into the routine, began to make friends, and everything was starting to look good in his life until he turned the magic number 18. At 18 years old, Michael had officially aged out of the system and was now on his own. Statistics say that young men like Michael that are aging out of foster care, they are going to end up homeless. They are going to end up couch surfing from friend to friend and house to house, but never having their own place. Possibly get into addiction problems himself, end up in jail. Or there's even a great percentage that he might even end up in human sex trafficking. Out of the children and adults that are rescued from human sex trafficking, 60% of them spent time in the U.S. foster care system because they're just easy targets. Now, I know that this is a very sad story, but what I want to show you is I want to go back through the life of Michael, and I want to show you how the church can make a difference. That if the church would have been able to insert themselves in this story, that Michael's life could be different. Before we go into some of those different ways, first of all, I want to do a little activity, a word association with you. When I say the word teen, what comes to mind? Maybe things like young, hopeful, maybe confused, maybe scared, maybe a little rebellious. What about when I say the word family? Maybe things like comfort and love and safety. What about the word trauma? What do you think of when I say trauma? Abuse, neglect, painful, hurt. The kids like Michael that are aging out of foster care, they find themselves that yes, they are teenagers, but they don't have family. So they have all of these questions, they have all of these doubts. Maybe, yes, they think they have it all together, but when they realize that they don't, they also don't have any family. They don't have that support system that they can ask questions to. They don't have anybody that they can turn to that can help them in the bad situations that they find themselves and to give them good advice. And not only do we find that they are teens minus family, but also add on the trauma. Add on the trauma, even if they weren't abused, even if they just went through neglect charges and were removed, just being taken into foster care is a trauma of its own. And so they have all of these things that are going against them. What if we had a place to where we could help them? Our ministry, Family Mission Field, is going to be launching a new ministry called Heritage Builders. This is put out by Lifeline Children's Services, and it is a program that is for children that are ages 14 to 20 that are transitioning from foster care to independent living. It is a life skills class, so we're going to be teaching them things like how to budget, how to get prepared for a job, how to take care of yourself on daily. What are some of those things that we need to do? It's a life skills class, but it is all gospel based. We are going to be talking about these skills that they need to have a healthy adult life, but it's all coming from a Christian perspective. And one of the coolest things about this program is not only do they come to the program and get a free meal and get to hang out and have fun, we do icebreaker games, but not only that, but each of these teenagers also get what we call as an advocate. And this is somebody that's going to be in their lives. They're going to check on them in between the meetings. They're going to build friendships with them, begin to help them, and just be a friend to them. Most of the kids in the system, the number one complaint that we hear from them is that there is nobody in their life that isn't paid to be there. Foster parents get a stipend for the teenagers that are in their house. The caseworkers get a paycheck to be their friend and to help them walk them through their case. These kids, they have nobody that is just in their life just to be there with them, to just be their friend just because. These advocates are all going to be Christians, mature Christians who can love on them, build relationships with them, and give them godly advice and help them navigate this life as they age out of foster care. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you have just been told you are getting ready to leave your house. There is a moving truck that's going to be here tomorrow morning, and you are only allowed to take 5 items with you. Have to be a separate line. So I have 5 kids, so that would be my 5 things right there. Anything that you want, you have 5 things that you can take. Now I want you to imagine that the moving truck is on the way and you get a phone call. It's actually a smaller truck than you were originally told. You can actually only take 3 items with you. So mark 2 things off of your list. Now the moving truck has officially moved up to the front yard and it's even smaller than we thought it would be. You are only allowed to take 1 thing with you. What is that item? What is that person? That 1 thing. Now I want you to think back to Michael at 7 years old when he's removed from his house and he's put into the foster care system. Michael didn't get to decide what went with him or what didn't go with him. Michael couldn't keep his baby sister with him. Michael couldn't keep the toys that he had at his house. He didn't get to stay in the same school and the same after-school activities because he had to move across town. Whenever children are moved from a home that has drugs in the home, they're actually not allowed to take anything. No clothing, no toys, not the stuffed animal that they've slept with since they were brought home from the hospital. They are literally absolutely not allowed to take anything. Can you imagine what a relief it would be to kids like Michael that are coming into foster care if there was something that we could do to make sure they had the items that they need? I want to tell you about a technology tool called Care Portal. It is a technology-based tool that alerts churches that are enrolled in Care Portal. It lets them know about the needs of children in crisis in their community in real time. So we help foster kids like Michael, whenever he was being removed, what if there was a caseworker that could have put into Care Portal that I'm removing 2 children and I wish that I could keep them together, but there's not a foster home that has enough beds for both of them. What if they were to put, I found a foster home, I just need to get a crib, and then the baby and Michael can stay together. They could have put that into Care Portal. A church could have seen that. A church could have bought them the crib, and Michael and his sister didn't have to be separated. In Care Portal, we help foster families. We actually help everybody across this board. We help kids that are aging out of foster care. You might see that we are helping a teen set up their own apartment, and these are the items that they need. You might even see that there are birth families that are at risk of losing their children. If only they had extermination services done for their house. You'll find things like that in Care Portal. And one of the new things that we are doing is also helping mothers with unplanned pregnancies. That if there is a mom that is wanting to keep her child but just doesn't have the resources, you can find those needs inside of the Care Portal. And the churches are able to take these items, these physical items, go and meet these families in their moment of crisis, and not only bring them physical items, but also bring them the hope and love of Jesus Christ. The last thing that I want you to do is I want you to think about Michael's mom. Now, many of our hearts are broken for 7-year-old Michael, and even Michael that's aging out of foster care. Do you remember how old I told you Michael's mom was? 19 years old. Would it make a difference if I told you Michael's mom had just aged out of foster care herself? That's why she found herself with no support And while she found herself in a bad relationship, she was just looking for somebody to love her. She was just looking for somebody to support her. And so she ended up with Michael's father. I want you to think about her as all of these different caseworkers are coming in and out of her home and telling her things that she doesn't understand, and she's so overwhelmed. She has no support system. Here she was raising 2 kids by herself. She didn't have any family. She didn't have a mom or a mother-in-law that would come over and help with the laundry or would help her babysit and let her have some self-care time. So she just began to check out, and she turned to drugs and she turned to alcohol. Not because she didn't love the children, but because she didn't know how to cope with these things on her own. So let's say that we are Michael's mom and we decide that we want to keep our children. A caseworker comes in and tells you that, you know what, you're going to have to take a parenting class in order to keep your children. Parenting classes in our area can cost as much as $200. So say you scrape together the money to take that parenting class. Well, now you have to drive to that parenting class, but your minivan is on empty. How much money would it take to fill up that minivan so you can get to your parenting class that you've already paid for, that you have to take in order to keep your kids? The judge said you have to take this class. But you only have $50 left. And the baby also needs diapers. How much is a pack, even a small pack of diapers? Did you know that there is no government assistance program that helps take care of diapers? So yes, the kids might be on WIC and they're getting fruits and vegetables and milk, but there's no government assistance program that would help Michael's mother buy diapers and would fill up her vehicle with gas so she can make it to her parenting class. And then remember that Michael's mom doesn't have any support system. She has no family or no friends that she can depend on. So she's having to pay the money for a sitter to keep the kids for, listen to this, 13 weeks. Most parenting classes on average are about 13 weeks long. So she's on limited income. How can she possibly make all of this happen? But what if I were to tell you there is another program called Families Count? This is also put out by Lifeline Children's Services, and it is a court-approved, gospel-based parenting class. These classes are hosted inside of local churches. They are absolutely free for participants to take, so there is no $200 cost. We offer transportation. If you do not have a vehicle and you cannot drive, we will come and pick you up. If you can drive a vehicle, when you get to class, we will give you gas cards so that way you have the gas money that you need to make it back and forth to class. Every single night class is served with a meal. And we also, if you still have custody of your children, we want you to bring them with you, and we have free childcare. Not only that, these classes are only 7 weeks long, almost half the time as the other ones. Again, all of these are gospel-based and very much so like the Heritage Builders program. Each of our parents are going to get a mentor. This again is going to be a mature believer that is going to be there for you to call and to help walk you through this process. And the mentorship program doesn't end when your class ends in 7 weeks. We have actually ran these classes before, and the first time that we done it, all of our parents that made it to graduation night dedicated their lives and their families to Jesus Christ. It was a very powerful night. And most of our participants are still, even months and months after class, are still in relationship with their mentors. And they're still calling them and talking to them and praying with them on a regular basis. On graduation night, we end it with giving our parents these I will statements. It's this cardstock that says I will. And we say, now that you've taken these parenting classes and you've heard the gospel, what are you going to do? How is your life going to be different? What is your I will statement? One of our dads that was there on graduation night, his I will statement is, I will break the generational curses in my family tonight. It was such a powerful moment. And I know that these are just 3 avenues: Heritage Builders, Care Portal, and Families Counts. These are just 3 ways that the church can be involved in people's lives. I want you to again think about Michael, how his life would have been different as a teenager if he would have had a Heritage Builders program, somebody to partner with him and to help him walk through life as he got older. How could his life have been different as a 7-year-old boy being removed and put into foster care for the very first time? If he would have had access, his caseworker would have had access to Care Portal, and there would have been a church that it could have supplied the foster family the items that they needed so that Michael and his baby sister could have stayed together. Think about how his life could have been different, that if he could have stayed with his mom long term, if the church would have stepped in and they could see Michael's mother, they could see her come to know Christ and to be discipled as a young mom and given the support that she needed to keep her children. How much more we could have helped them. This is what we call the foster care experience. I thank you for taking the time to do this, and I would love to do this with you in person. I would love to.